Alright, Travis Wingutzel. So, yeah, last couple of days, talking about Judaism and the Christ concept of Judaism and Joseph Smith being the Mormon Christ. It's disturbing and upsetting for Mormons, especially Christians. I warned you guys, there will come a time, because of the false information that you've been given, that you will be offended with the truth of what I tell you. I'm the only one who knows the learning of the Jews, prophecy and revelation, because nobody else wants to touch it or believe it. Supersessionism, the replacement theory of Christianity taking over for the Jews, with Constantine's first creed that Joseph Smith calls abominable, has gotten a tremendous hold on over 4 billion humans on the earth right now. And so, yes, Christians, your religion is wrong. It's abominable. Jesus Christ is homoousion. It's right there in the creed. It means not real. They say it means not real, in case you can't figure it out. They replaced the Jews. And so, yes, Mormons. Dear God, you Danites are just the purest of evil. When the scriptures say that delighting in wickedness is abominable, yeah, that's what you're doing. And no, we're not talking about desiring to have sex with a single woman. We're not talking about drinking Mountain Dew or working on the Sabbath. No, we're talking murder, rape, theft, lying for the sake of lying to be malicious and laughing about it. Murdering to laugh about it. I just saw in the news here in Utah, a guy murdered his friend and said, "Well, it was just a joke. I'm just having some fun, blowing away my friend." Dear God. So, yeah, I already know the Danites are going to be offended with my message. They've worked very hard to murder Joseph Smith and steal and replace his religion. They don't want some guy coming along in the latter days when they're about to get their kingdom back, ruining it for them. And so, the Jewish Christ, Messiah, into the English phonetics. And so I don't worry about Messiah. I don't deal with phonetics. I have deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, and with deciphering Paleo-Hebrew, I have then deciphered the learning of the Egyptians in the language of the Egyptians. I refer you to 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 2. Because Egyptologists have only deciphered the learning of the Greeks in the language of the Egyptians. Egyptian is not an alphabetic language, so what are you guys doing imposing Greek upon the Egyptian? Oh right, the Rosetta Stone. That's what the Greeks tried to do, to turn Egyptian into a speakable language. And so yes, it is different, because imposing the Greek phonemes onto the Egyptian characters is not going to be the same phonetic vocabulary. Greek words are not going to be found in Egyptian. And yet, that's how Jean Champollion deciphered the Rosetta Stone, was through transliteration, as he supposed. Hilarious. So, anyway, regardless, notwithstanding, In Paleo-Hebrew, I put this chart on Academia already this morning. So go to Academia and see and obtain the chart, and it'll be in the video here, assuming I remember. Kind of an important one to put in this video. So I hope I don't forget. And so I go over the Paleo-Hebrew vocabulary word Messiah, which is anointed. And so I show you the linear script of Paleo-Hebrew of each of the letters that compose it, and the W with the J stroke is M. Don't worry about phonetics. That is from Gardner's Egyptian sign list, which is incomplete and inaccurate, but nonetheless, that's where I was able to find it. A6 for a priest, pouring water over his head, person, J stroke. The water symbol, water symbol, N35, and sky in linear. The hieroglyph is a little bit different, and you kind of wonder, well, how'd they get the N1 sky into the linear of this? Ask the Egyptians, they're dead. Okay? And so, Messiah, I froze. And sure enough, I saw hackers with my picture that I have here. See, these evil Danites will not leave me alone. They do not want you to know the truth. And so, yeah, it's amazing I'm still alive, because the church sucks at hitmen. And so it's unclear as to whether or not the church will succeed on 8 April 2024 with the 9/11 event of the day that shall burn as an oven, or the abomination of desolation, depending on which book you claim that Revelation 19 is. With the coming of Jesus. But I already told you, Nelson failed. He failed to have the temple so that Jesus can come immediately to his temple before the day that shall burn as an oven. He failed. So anyway. So Moses, you'll see, is composed of the first two letters. And this is unusual in the sense that the sky symbol, N1, is indicating that a Messiah has to do with Moses, and that the sky symbol is a suffix determinative rather than a prefix determinative. That is unusual, because the pattern for Paleo-Hebrew is to have prefix determinatives. Now, if it's being used as a suffix determinative in Messiah, that the actual word is Moshe, however you want to pronounce it, I don't care. It's not the origin. That does seem to be the case, because the Jews have had a very long tradition of calling Moses their Christ, thus their anointed one, their Messiah. And this is why. Because Moses is within the word for Messiah. You know, like Israel. Prevail is not in the word Israel. And so prevail is not any kind of translation for it, Nelson. And those two Hebrew scholars you threw under the bus at BYU. Yeah, that's a white supremacist move. To ignore the Hebrew and go straight to the English translation and say, oh, there's the word prevail, we'll make that the meaning. because they don't care about the Jews and anything about them. They're evil anti-Semites. And so, yes, Nelson exposed himself as an evil anti-Semite at the pulpit of General Conference. He is the Antichrist because he's against the Jewish Messiah. Christians are Antichrist because they're against the Jewish Messiah. He came first. The Jewish authors wrote about him in their scriptures, which were stolen by Christians of Constantine, and then replaced with Jesus of Constantine. And so, even though the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claims non-Trinitarian instead of Trinitarian, which is why Christians do not accept Mormons as Christian, it's still the same Jesus that Constantine created. You're just changing his nature and character. Real simple and easy to figure out, and yet the Danites have got a great hold on, what, are you down to 2.5 million now, Nelson? Have you purged the church that far, so far? Because, yeah, the day that shall burn is an oven. He wants his royal gems of the master race to be left in the church. And so I don't understand why there are still blacks, women, LGBTQ, IAPL+, Jewish converts, those of darker colored skin, those who are not from England or Europe at least, and poor. I don't understand why you're Mormon. Dear God, I can only understand the Danite men. Not even the Danite women, but they are the worst of Karens. Dear God. I have learned from sad experience that Danite women are scary. I mean, just look at the murderous Danite women in this church. Women who call themselves goddesses and prophetesses and priestesses, all in the name of murder for their beliefs. It's like they've never even read the Book of Mormon in Alma chapter 1 about Nehor, practicing priestcraft and murdering for it. So yeah, that's your Mormons, Danites. And so I don't understand, if you are not a part of the Danites, if you came through a female Danite line like I did, why you can't figure out that what your mom is being abusive to you for is not Jesus's plan of happiness. Your agency is being taken away. You're being forced and threatened to obey and pay, and you think that's Jesus and that's love? How twisted is that? Dear God. Anyway, back to Moses. So you may have heard that the Jews cover up, is it Adonai? One of the names of God. Sometimes I thought it was Yahweh. Which name of God do Jews cover up with Hashem? The name of God, Yahweh. Jews traditionally do not pronounce it and instead refer to Hashem. Yeah, Yahweh. Okay. The tetragram is substituted with the pronunciation Adonai. Okay. So Adonai also is substituted for Yahweh. So yeah, it's Yahweh. And I don't understand why. The Genesis author purposely put Yahweh in there and repeated it frequently, which is an interesting twist. If you know the Egyptian origin of canceling out God names and replacing it with another God name. which had to do with Akhenaten. Akhenaten, yeah. Akhenaten is the city, Armana. And do I want to go into that? I'm only at 8 minutes. We need to get to Joseph Smith. It's easy breezy cover girl for Joseph Smith. I've already been talking to you about it. This is just the background from the Paleo-Hebrew vocabulary and explaining the Jewish Messiah concept, which is the big focus of the video. And so, in the Egyptians, 18th dynasty, you had Amun as the sun god at noonday for the Egyptians. And there's Father Amun, who's out in outer space, well, in the firmament, between the two waters, which sun, notice that one? We'll get to it. And you have the priests of Amun. Thus, section 107 there at the bottom. And along comes Amenhotep III, as he's now starting to convert to the Aten cult, Aten religion, and embracing the Aten, which is the sun disk. It seems like a technicality difference, but there is. And under his son, Amenhotep IV, who then changed his name to Akhenaten, it was clear that he was taking the religion in a completely different way. And so yes, 88 or 84, I think 84, taking away Moses and the priesthood. Yeah, that's the exact same thing that happened when Akhenaten took over from the co-regency with his father Amenhotep III. Once he died and Akhenaten was on his own, the father was building Armana, Akhenaten, and so the capital was officially moved under Akhenaten. And it was designed so that when the sun rose in the east, it shone directly through the gates of the temple city, and it could go all the way into the Holy of Holies to shine light on the Aten, the god of the temple. And so a little bit of symbolism in the architecture as a result. And if you know, you'll notice that the sun rises at different locations on our eastern horizon. And so only one particular day of the year. Reason behind that. And so yes, Akhenaten replaced the Amun priesthood with his Aten priesthood. And thus, why in Joseph Smith's 84 he's making that claim about Moses. Now, none of it's literal history. Moses is not Akhenaten. There are too many failures to make him the guy. But there is some vocabulary coincidences. Like the 18th dynasty is called the Talut-Moshe dynasty. In Paleo-Hebrew, phonetically transliterated, you have the David Moseses. And so that is significant, because it was David Moses IV who was the one who took a vacation in the midst of Armageddon 1 against the Hittites to the little hamlet of Salem, and afterward it grew and developed into the city of Salem, and thus Jerusalem, in which the temple was built to David, the first king, with Solomon, his son. Solomon is Salem, which is peace, which which is the name of the land. And then the N, which you see when I get to Samson and then Ammon, it means king. So the king of Salem. Well, yeah, but what's his name? That's the title. And thus in the Bible, they use Solomon as the name of the son of David to symbolize their Christ, Moses, the man like Moses from Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. This is the latter days. These Jews were writing during the Roman period time. Deuteronomy is the law. It was not intended to be fulfilled immediately in the Roman period time. It's very clear it's a future date, because the Matthew and the other gospel authors likewise indicate that it's not Jesus, because that's the wrong name. It's Emmanuel, as also is on this chart, because that's Ammon. Okay, don't need to go into more detail on that. And so the use of Hashem, or name, which Samuel, the God of the name. Samuel the Lamanite, God of the name. Which is why it's hilarious when Jesus comes from outer space without the white horse to Nephi, the new name of Messiah ben David. You kind of have to follow me, or otherwise you're going to be offended and you're going to make a dumbass comment and I'm going to have to hide you from my channel. Like I got yesterday, as I saw. A guy who's not understanding the concept that we're the learning of the Jews. And so when I tell you, I'm your Messiah, Ben David, in the learning of the Jews. I am not Jesus. I am not supernatural. It's not a Messiah complex, but you're not listening. You don't care. You've replaced the Jews, and it has to be Christian, and everything else is wrong. And so I get dumbass comments, as I expected, after all these years. And so, yeah, the name is an interesting inversion of Moses, the man like Moses. Moses isn't his name either, it's Ammon. But it's fascinating that that's what these originators of Paleo-Hebrew did. And so, yeah, way back in the beginning, 7 years ago, in 2017, I had to teach you guys line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. I had to not throw in, hey, I'm your Messiah, I'm here, follow me, or die, and pay me money. Because everybody would laugh and think it was a joke like they do to the FLDS guy on YouTube. He's extremely popular, but nobody actually believes him, right? Please tell me you don't believe him. You just watch him for entertainment value, like you bring your cell phones to sacrament meeting, hoping and praying that on fast and testimony meeting, you're going to get some dumbass who's going to say something that's going to make you a lot of views on YouTube. And so no, I've tried to help you replace your false information from the church, and I've obviously failed for the most part. And I don't give a crap about, oh, I've saved one of you. Yay! How great shall be my reward. Do you see a woman in my life? No. It's all in vain without a woman. So anyway, and so now that we're 11 days left, I'm having to bring out the big guns. Should that be the song? I love that song. That's from the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you couldn't find it on an AC/DC album. You can only get it on the soundtrack album. I think that was the one, wasn't it? Big Gun. AC/DC, so I don't forget. I'm still planning on making this video under 30 minutes. Just so that you know. The Joseph Smith thing is going to be real quick and easy breezy, like I said. And so, yeah, I expected a lot more violence and hate from Mormons, a lot more denialism and disbelief from ex-faux never-mo's, and especially from Christians, screaming out blasphemy, Jesus is Lord. You need Jesus in your life. Bleep you all. So yeah, you don't understand. The Bible was stolen by Christians. And then Islam came along and stole the Bible from Christians. Replaced the Christians and the Jews with their terrorist organization of conversion with violence and murder and burning, which is very interesting because the Danites were involved with burning, and then the Illuminati, from which the Danites came from, were involved with burning, just like Islam, burning. And so the day that shall burn as an oven is what they are all going to be causing. And so, yeah, I'm kind of wondering if the payment to Islam, both government leaders and religious leaders, involved not only the attack on Israel, but also to destroy this valley, which in the United States, the highest concentration of Islamic centers is right here in the Utah Valley. Salt Lake Valley. We've got one up in Logan, and then there's some that trickle down towards Orem, but the concentration, the highest in the United States of America, out of any other state in the Union, is right here in the Salt Lake Valley. And they just happen to be purposely placed near preventing escape and entrance in such a catastrophe event. And this is their judgment day, in case you've forgotten. It's Christians' judgment day. This is it. Jesus is coming, and Trump is going to save the Jews from the evil Islamic progressive deep state Dem Biden and Harris, anti-Semites. I am horrified as I'm going between Young Turks, MSNBC, and Israeli News, and Fox. I'm just going, oh my God, does nobody else see this? Fox is all saying, oh, Biden and Harris are anti-Semitic, they're against Israel, they're supporting terrorists. And they praise Trump about how Trump is supporting Netanyahu, and I'm going, oh my God, they're setting him up to be the chosen one. And Trump with his Bible sales today, or yesterday, during Easter, which the Christians replaced from the Jews. It's Passover. And it's not Passover because in the Jewish calendar, we're still in the leap year. And so Passover for the Jews isn't until a couple of weeks after General Conference, near the second to last week of April in our calendar conversion. And so, yeah, that's how Christianity is so screwed up, turning the Jewish prophecies and revelations into literal history. Abominable, said Joseph in verse 19. But anyway, name. Got it? And so sun, yeah, Genesis 1, verse 6, separating the waters from the waters, firmament, sky. And then 14 to 17, the creation of the sun. Now it's interesting that they put the M, which is the high priest, rather than the sun symbol for sun. Very interesting. They do have another word for sun, which is a transliteration from the Egyptian Ra, for Ramses rather than Ra for seer. Different spelling. It's not the sun symbol, it's the Eye of Ra symbol, or the Eye of Horus, which, yeah, Eye of Ra also. You probably know it better as Eye of Ra rather than Eye of Horus. And thus I've shown you over the years my Egyptian Eyes of Horus. This one's for government, the sun, religion, moon. That was what was understood by the Egyptians. And so when you read over the Bible stories and you see somebody getting blind, who's the hero of the story, yeah, you know what they're referring to in the Egyptian documents. When you see that a religion is involved, you know that it's related to the moon and all that stuff. And so, yeah, a lot of it, most of it, probably all of it, ties to a sign in the heavens. And in 2021 to 2022, where I was concerned that there wasn't an obvious sign from the scriptures in the heavens, I instead was discovering, as I was checking my Urim and Thummim on a daily basis, the fulfillment of the biblical stories. And so I would do videos for you, and nobody cared, because 3rd Nephi chapter 2. Oh, prophecy fulfilled. Amazing. But yeah, I was at least telling you, revealing to you of the scriptural prophecies that were being fulfilled in the sky. All about the latter days, all occurring in signs in the heavens. And so Revelation 12, verse 1 is added, a sign in the heaven in the likeness of things on the earth. Things on the earth are the prophecies in the future. Sign in the heaven is the day and the hour revelation, thus the book of Revelation. Thus the correction is correct. And so, yeah, to have the M in the middle, or the, yeah, we'll call it the M. The water with the J stroke in the middle, which is phonetically the M. To be in the middle of the two waters, it is telling you something. And so Walter Emmanuel Aufrecht was my biblical Hebrew teacher at the University of Lethbridge in Alberta, Canada, while I was taken away, and that's a long story with the first X. When I would first talk about that, I would get comments, oh, you're from Canada? Eh? No, I'm not from Canada, Southern California. I've been to the top of the mountains, got the 5 Peaks Award, and I'm even a legend down there. At the San Gorgonio, San Bernardino mountain ranges, the ranger's office, yeah, I am a legend, still to this day. The legend of the Boy Scout who got lost in the mountains. Which, yes, there were symbolism that I caught as a kid when all that happened. A full moon, a bee hovering over my head, sleeping on the rocks, the stones, by the riverbed, in the mountains. Yep, that was wild, but anyway. Being alone. And so Samson, the sun king, because it contains the word for sun, Shemesh. And the N is for king, A45. That specific one, with that specific crown of the north. And even though it is a linear script, you could put in other crowns as well, but the little V is for the Uraeus, the cobra, on the crown. And so, yeah, you could probably add the other crown for the south as the B letter in Paleo-Hebrew. That just popped into my head because it closes the gap of the V. It's a triangle with the J stroke. And so I've usually put it as a human that has the mouth or hand up to the mouth for eating or speaking or all things human behavior. And so, yeah, I would have to plug that into the vocabulary to see how that would apply, but that's how you run the test. Anyway, regardless. Norco, Northern Crown, for a reason, for the N. And so, yes, the prophecies all have to be fulfilled. I can't just say it like that FLDS guy or Brian David Mitchell, who purposely changed his name and oops, Emmanuel is the surname, you dumbass. Rotten prison. But yeah, regardless, all the prophecies, every single one, I can't just claim it. I told you in the video where the guy still said that I've got some kind of Messiah complex. I cannot name myself the Messiah. I have to fulfill every single prophecy. And as I'm going over with you, even the script is prophecy and revelation. I have to fulfill each and every single letter, not just every single word, not just every single prophecy of sentences. Everything. Do you not understand this? Apparently not. Danites refuse. They still think I'm calling myself Jesus. Supernatural. Dumbasses. All need to rot in hell for your abominations and murdering Joseph and replacing the Book of Mormon. Alright? And so yes, I've gone over the stories over the years talking about the prophecies of Samson, and yes, the 3 days of darkness, deaths, solar eclipses, blindness, all part of the symbolism of prophecy of the latter days and revelation of the day and the hour of when they're going to occur. So the killing of the lion, 21st of August 2017. His wife burning with her father, yeah. The annular solar eclipse, 14 October 2023. Over Utah even. See, because they know the day and the hour, they know which constellation it was in, and they know where it's going to cast its shadow on the earth. And thus they knew the name, the full name, he who is from the crossroads of the sun god at noonday. Thus, the sign in the forehead, which the other one from section 133, was it? That I did the other day when I found it. That's the first and the last, technically, though the all three, because signs from Genesis, and it's in 14 to 17 for the Son, even though they don't have the word Son in that passage. But that's what's being described, is that the stars are being placed in the firmament between the upper and lower waters. And so, yeah, all 3 days of darkness and hours of darkness are involved with the name, as well as the day and time and location in space, as well as on Earth, and all that. I mean, these guys were just brilliant. Just simply brilliant to create this alphabetical linear script taken from the Egyptian prophecies that gave rise to the Bible and all of the prophecies from the Bible. Just amazing knowledge that is crammed into the pictures. Literally, a picture is worth 1,000 meat translations. It's just incredible. Alright, and so then Emmanuel. You have the N that I introduced with Samson, and the M, the prefix determinative for the 2-letter word of Moses, which is being apparently used as the upper waters for Messiah. And thus the upper waters and the priest symbol. And then the sun symbol. That's an obvious one. But yes, in Paleo-Hebrew, it also can be used for the moon. It can be used for seed. Thus, like in the word unto a seed, has to produce the fruit. Thus, sunbeam. Jesus wants me for a sunbeam. But, yeah. And so, N5 for sun. And yeah, that's the guy who's been appearing to Joseph Smith. That's the guy who appears in all of the Jesus scriptures. The Most High. Who do you think they're talking about? And Matthew, he actually says the prophecy of Isaiah. You're supposed to call him Emmanuel. So we named him Jesus. Hilarious. And so yeah, I didn't go into the full translation of Melchizedek, which is Melech and Zadok, but that's for another thing for you, which I have. Well, no, I haven't done the breakdown of each of the words. But yeah, it's the spelling of Amen. And so Joseph Smith nails it in section 107, verses 2 and 3. Melchizedek is the name replacement of Amen, even though it's just the fuller name, Melech Zadok, when the 2 letters for king and high priest are what compose the transliterated name of Emmanuel. That was God, in case you didn't know. I hope I don't have to explain that for anybody. And so yeah, the order of the Son of God, well, what's his name? It's Amen. That's how Joseph Smith has always said it. Jesus was never our Christ. Again, Joseph likewise used Jesus, used direct, wrongly translated New Testament passages, and Sidney Rigdon likewise, and and Joseph Smith Sr., who had to rewrite the 116 pages, purposely put in the Isaiahs with the errors and all, because they're trying to help bridge the gap, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. And so you'll notice, for example, the word charity in the Book of Mormon. Well, we go to 1 Corinthians 13. Oh, yeah, charity is the, thus and this and this, but you won't find the pure love of Christ in 1 Corinthians 13. It's only in the Book of Mormon. That's because they wanted to teach you that the Greek text has agape, which is not translated as charity. That's a wrong translation. And so yes, love, it's the highest form, the pure love of Christ, the highest form of love in Greek. See? They're trying to correct the Bible line upon line for you. You're supposed to catch that because you're supposed to go to 1 Corinthians. And you're going to go, I don't see love here. That's strange. Where are they getting love? Is that the correct translation, that it's not charity? Yeah, well, Catholics knew. And all of the TV shows that do weddings for their finale, they all knew. It's just Mormons didn't know. We're being taught, but nope, they don't believe in Joseph. They don't believe in the Book of Mormon. And so instead, they create a new definition of charity, and it now means love. Abominable. Okay. So, 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 2, learning of the Jews. And so you're not supposed to use Christianity, you're not supposed to use Jesus. And we're at 40 minutes for that main portion. So I'm expecting under 5 minutes. Here we go. Can I do it? 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 6. For Joseph of Egypt truly testified, saying, A seer shall the Lord my God raise up, who shall be a choice seer unto the fruit of my loins. Okay? And so, verse 5. Joseph truly saw our day, and he obtained a promise of the Lord, that out of the fruit of his loins the Lord God would raise up a righteous branch unto the house of Israel. Not the Messiah, but a branch which was to be broken off. Notice that Joseph Smith Sr. uses Messiah here and not Christ. He's trying to remind you, learning of the Jews. But notice when Jesus is used, it's always Jesus Christ. Never Jesus Messiah. There's a reason, and it's just like charity. But a branch which was to be broken off. So from Joseph, a branch. One branch is Joseph Smith. Verse 15. Named after me, Joseph of Egypt, name of his father, Joseph Smith, Jr. And it's Senior who's writing this. He's the stem from which the two branches, I don't know, Isaiah 11 is it? Branch off from. Junior is the one branch. Junior is the founder of the church. Nevertheless, Joseph Smith is to be remembered in the covenants of the Lord that the Messiah should be made manifest unto Mormons of Joseph Smith's church in the latter days. Messiah ben David, the Jewish Christ, Deuteronomy 18, 15 to 19. Moses, man like Moses. And so, in verse 9, Joseph Smith shall be great like unto Moses. He's a Christ? Yeah. Whom I've said I would raise up unto you to deliver Mormons. The Man Like Moses, section 103, verses 16 and 17. Ta-da! Joseph Smith History, 1838, verse 40. Ta-da! Okay? Been going over this. Easy breezy cover girls. And so, yeah, Wikipedia under Messiah ben Joseph. This is where you learn the concept of a Christ in Judaism. And probably the Tree of Life also, that Joseph Smith Sr. had those dreams, thus put it in his rewritten 116 pages. Also, Tree of Life. He's talking about Messiah ben Joseph to Messiah ben David, the last days Christ. And that's why I did the picture for you. And re-updated it too, as now I can go in to talk about Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David in that context. Because, yeah, the old one had the baby picture, and so now I can put in my picture when I went to the Bountiful Temple on the date. And she took my picture at the Bountiful Temple. And so, yeah, that was supposed to help symbolize 3rd Nephi 11, and apparently nobody's got it. Nobody's got it. So, yeah, Nelson has the wrong keys. Everything. The church seed with Brigham Young, that it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that Jesus is the Christ, that the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ, is a lie. And so that seed cannot produce anything good, because it's a lie. You cannot produce good from a lie. They've replaced Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon. They pulled out the keystone, and thus the arch falls, exposing them as liars. And how successful have they been? To God. So many people fooled with Kool-Aid. Alright? So yeah. Messiah ben Joseph in the Wikipedia page also says that he's prophesied to die fighting evil. Yeah. And he's supposed to start the temple and get that established. Yeah. Joseph Smith fulfilled it. And still, to this day, ex-foe Nevermos condemn Joseph Smith as a failure to be a prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. And Mormons say, well, he never said he was a prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. Those were just titles. Oh my God. Just like our prophets, seers, revelators, and not translators. And everybody gets fooled. It's just unbelievable. So a little overtime, isn't it?